I'm sure that you all, like me, love the great American outdoors. I can't get enough of the nice pine trees, the nice fresh air, and the lack of cops. But unfortunately, sometimes it be the common man who wishes to do you wrong, in addition to the government. And by the common man, I was done wrong upon on this very camping trip. Me, Adam, Roman, and Roderick wanted to do this big trip into the woods with weed and alcohol. So we planned to go camping at this place that's sort of far away from my house. Far enough away to act a pirate, to be alone and get fucked up at. So you have to drive out of town, up this mountain, and through plateaus and valleys and rivers to get there. But once you get to the top, it becomes a lot of campsites that overlook this really big canyon. We took Roderick's rinky-dink Toyota Matrix, and let me tell you, the gams on this baby, the gams, as in there were none. It took us like 2 hours to get to the top. This car was not built for 4 young, spry boys going uphill. Once we finally made it after sweating in this no AC heat box, there was this fucking tree blocking the road we wanted for the campsite. So we moved that shit, like bam, like out the motherfucking way, bitch, blunts in mouth. So we get done being hot and we throw this tree, pull the car along the road, and make it to the campsite. It's all downhill to our left because the campsite washes out in the cliff drop. But we set up the tent and there's this beautifully constructed fire ring of high rocks that's right next to the edge. We set up the chairs and start working. Me and Roderick get the grate. Roman brought the skillet to rest on top. Adam starts rolling the yada yada, that sugar gabagool into the honey blunt, while my boy Roman gets the playlist bumping. We fry up eggs and bacon at like 9 at night and smother it in hot sauce and start drinking with dinner. We smash Coronas and we pass blunts for a little bit. Before long, the horror and reality of what we had just done began to set in. We had smothered a little too much and my stomach had really began to be a little fucking mad at me. One by one, we got hit by the shits in varying levels. Roman wound up throwing up because of his upset stomach. This unfortunately lasts a while, and I think the septic shock began to set in as we all felt absolutely feverish, from the shitting to the weed to the beers. Our grand night had hit a crash because I was just sacked out. But as I'm getting out of the tent at this time, I see what is clearly light coming from beyond the car. I'm at the tent, so I can't really see what it is from where I'm at. So I walk a little closer to see what it was. It's 5 flashlight beams walking in this cloud of light along the road. And if I wasn't gonna shit before, I was gonna shit myself now. No one in this group was saying anything. It was dead silent. They were coming along the road toward the campsite, and my heart is racing. But I try and be as quiet as I can as I get behind the tent. From behind the tent, I whispered that I saw people with flashlights coming. Roman sits up from the ground and reaches for the car keys, and now we're all sitting up to notice the light all coming closer. The lights reach the car and pause at it. We can see the outlines of like 3 guys peering into the car, but Roman presses the panic button. Immediately, the place just explodes with sound, and in a flash second, those 3 dudes were sprinting away from the car and not coming back. If we had not already been traumatized, we had been by now by the actual fucking trauma. We got all our shit out of the car and packed it into the tent and stay awoke all night until dawn. I guess in hindsight, it would have been smarter to leave and drive away, but we're badass motherfuckers. We wished they'd come back. We were ready to fuck them up. Eventually, I'm not gonna lie, we passed out waiting. But around sunrise, I woke up and poked my little head out the tent and I got out and walked towards the fire pit. I slumped in one of the chairs and watched the valley open as the sun floated over the canyon, and then I passed out again. I woke up like 3 hours later. We all got our stuff and got the fuck out of there. But what we noticed as we were getting into the car to leave is that there was a scratch. These dudes had, I guess, I don't know, keyed the car or something, or maybe it was a knife and they were gonna kill us all. Okay, that's the story. Bye. Listen, smoking can be fun and all, but anyone who's done it consistently knows that it can get stale. If you think about it, it probably makes sense scientifically. After you feel the same stimulus, you'll eventually grow jaded to it. But people who don't smoke almost always take the high experience in entirely new ways. So I decided to get a group of friends together that have never smoked to test this hypothesis. I don't have a lot of friends though, so it was only 2 people, so please don't comment on that. But my lucky individuals were the legend Cameron and my friend Jaime. Jaime showed up to my house first, and completely unannounced to me, he came in full Joker face paint. When I saw this, I got the feeling that this night was gonna be really funny or really scary for Cameron. I didn't know how he'd take this once he saw it high. But eventually, young Cameron pulled up, and I gave the 2 of them edibles because they didn't want to hurt their little lungs. So while we're waiting for these to hit, I really start hyping the whole thing up to these guys. Alright guys, listen, this is gonna actually change your lives. This is gonna be the best experience that you've ever had. And Jaime was like, hee, I'm the Joker. And not even 10 minutes after consumption, Cameron swore he could feel it already. That was cap though. It was all placebo at this point, but he believed it with his whole heart. It didn't help that Jaime started gaslighting him like, yeah, you definitely feel it, man. I think I'm actually starting to feel it too. Holy fuck, I'm so fucking high. So Cameron lays on the bed thinking that he's already high, while Jaime just starts getting into my PC. There was very little time before Jaime just opened Steam and bought Honey Pop with my credit card. Trust me, I didn't own this game beforehand. I got a little pissed because bro really thought he was the Joker and intruded into my things, but the game didn't cost that much, so I let it slide. The only thing I hoped for is that once this gummy hit Jaime, this game didn't make him go off and do something the real Joker would never even think of doing. After 30 minutes, these gummies actually started to hit Cameron, and he explained it was like it felt like he was driving a car. Bro is laying on his back with his arms up in the air like, oh my god guys, I'm going so fast, I can't slow down. And as soon as he stood up from the bed, Jaime charged him holding a yoga ball, screaming, holy fuck, there's a car coming, and launching Cameron back into the bed. Bro would not let Cameron get off the bed. Every time he tried to get up, he just got launched back to where he started. I was watching him get bullied before my very eyes, but I decided not to intervene. So after Cameron got launched a few more times, he started explaining how the impact of every crash was turning his insides into mush. He used the analogy that he felt like an orange that still had the peel intact, but the fruity inside part was smashed. This is when I decided to actually make an intervention, and I stole the yoga ball from Jaime. He was getting a little too in character with that Joker face paint. Jaime started throwing a little hissy fit and crying, so he walked away and started playing Honey Pop again. So I took the opportunity to really interview Cameron. So Big Dog, explain to me how you're feeling, Big Dog. And bro started smacking his lips together super loud. This was some audible lip smacking until he explained, my mouth tastes really good. Like, I feel like I don't have to eat anymore for the rest of my life because my mouth tastes so good. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, Big Dog. And upon further inspection, the reason that he felt this was because all the impact from that yoga ball made him bite his tongue and he was slightly bleeding. I didn't want to bring attention to all that, so my plan as the professional in this situation was to give him yummy food and hopefully he wouldn't notice the blood in his mouth. So I'm like, are any of my little boys hungry? And immediately those two go feral. Those first time munchies hit hard. So I pull up the classic McDonald's Postmates and Jaime takes my phone like, let me pick what I want. I'm the Joker, baby. Chicken nugget. I want chicken nugget. I'm on it. Let's get some of these chicken nuggets. So Jaime starts spamming the chicken nugget button and orders 50 chicken nuggets to my damn house. As an empathetic individual, I knew the long wait for the Postmates to arrive would be harrowing and brutal for these two. I decided I needed a distraction so they wouldn't complain about it taking too long, mainly Jaime. So I pulled out the iPhone projector and started playing Five Nights at Freddy's Game Theory lore videos because I know Jaime loves those. After not even getting a few minutes into the video, I came to the realization this was actually a terrible mistake because it started to make Jaime genuinely tweet. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is the worst thing to ever happen to the series. What is blood yapping talking about?
I don't know, man. I'm really hungry.
It totally has all the pieces for a dream theory to be true, but no.
Is this like an issue? Like, should we stop him? I don't know if this is bad for
Why
his
is
health
the
or
Chica
something.
toy missing its beak?
I don't
What the fuck
know,
does any of that
man.
mean? And what the fuck is Juniors? Why don't people realize FNAF 3 takes place in 2015? 30 years refers to 30 years since the original murders in 1985, not 30 years since the first game. That makes no sense. Luckily, the Postmates notification cut him off, and it was chicken nugget time. Let's go. So we ran downstairs, got the food, ran upstairs, but as me and Cameron got to the bedroom, we decided we needed water with the nuggets so that we didn't choke to death. Before we went back downstairs, though, I decided to snap a little picture of the scene in front of me, because seeing Jaime in Joker face paint playing Honey Pop with 50 chicken McNuggets was something I didn't want to forget. But unknown to us, this would quickly become a top 10 moments caught before disaster image. So we go downstairs, fill up the water in the slow refrigerator faucet, and head on up. And in that short amount of time, Jaime had eaten every single one of the 50 chicken nuggets. What the fuck happened to the nuggets, dude?
Oh my god, no. Why?
And he just stared and laughed. The worst part is he didn't even eat these nuggets because he was hungry. He ate them because he thought it would be funny if we came back and they were all gone. And considering that he ate 50 nuggets in the period of a few minutes, it didn't take long for Jaime to run to the bathroom throwing up. And honestly, he deserved it at this point. Bro has been acting a fool for hours. He deserves to feel some of the pain he inflicts on others for a change. Immediately after he finished at the toilet, he got right back to playing more Honey Pop as if nothing happened. He had a serious grind to commit to still. Cameron, on the other hand, wasn't feeling all that great after the nugget disaster. Bro was crying his eyes out and bleeding from the mouth like, I'm so hungry, bro. Is there any more food left, bro? Yeah, dude, there is. I just need to go get it from the kitchen. So I gave Cameron the iPad with CoComelon while I went to order more McDonald's. Cameron immediately became demobilized and fell into the CoComelon trance. But unbeknownst to him, I was about to pull a little debauchery on him because I wasn't about to pay for another McDonald's order. I went downstairs into my kitchen trying to find some good mulch for the boys to eat. I came back with a big bag of Doritos and told the lads that I got the new McDonald's Doritos, my boys. They taste so good. They're way better than the standard ones. And that was enough for him to immediately forget about what Jaime did. I tried to go up to Jaime and ask, so bro, like, how does it feel for you right now? And the only response he would say is, fuck man, I'm so fucking high, man, holy fuck. To then immediately lock back in and play more Honey Pop. I don't know why he was so locked into this game, dude. Like, he either truly wanted to play this goofy video game all night, or he was just so committed to playing a character that he wouldn't break it for a second. The only eventful moment beyond this was when Cameron dropped the iPad on his face. It seemed that at this point, the night had brought itself to a stalemate. Going back to my hypothesis, the gummies happened to turn Jaime into more of an evil person than he usually is, and it turned Cameron into a toddler. To be honest, I don't think they took it very differently as non-smokers, but also maybe I chose the worst sample group imaginable, I don't know. But anyways, that's the video. Subscribe, bye! Here's a big one. You people have wanted this. My first time getting high, as it goes for most people, was a crazy experience. Now, I was at my friend Roderick's house. He's a classic guy. He's in just about every story that I tell at this point. Roderick's house was not like any other house. He lives in luxury. A luxury that a poor, under the poverty line boy like me will flip his shit when he sees. I mean, he's got a piano as you walk into his house. He's got a projector as a TV in his living room. This is the shit you see LA YouTubers live in. He lives in the Incredibles mansion. So Roderick was the weed expert that was going to show me his ways, and I was his apprentice. And this wasn't just my first time smoking weed. I should mention it was also my friend Roman's. The three of us were all sleeping over together this night inside Roderick's nice-ass house. Roderick was the real homie this night because he said, we can't just smoke a wax pen on both of your guys' first time. We gotta get our hands on the real stuff. What we had to do first was acquire the weed because we didn't have anything at this point. So we were going through the process of asking everyone that we knew on Snapchat if they knew somebody that sells weed until we finally landed on one guy. We pull up to his place and it's not scary at all, but this is my first drug deal. I'm anxious in my mind. mind. What if this dude's got a gun? What if he kills us in cold blood? But then this dude comes out of his house with these big ass goggle glasses. He looked like a real dork. This motherfucker was a certified bozo. We could have given this dude a wedgie for the weed. Once we drove off with the weed, we all just burst out laughing because we were expecting the exact opposite of this guy. We had acquired our first weed. Roman and I were just marveling at its beauty. We felt the weed, we smelt the weed, but most importantly, we wanted to smoke the weed. Before we stopped back at Roderick's, we drove to the gas station and he was like, I'll be back in a minute. This won't take long. He comes back with a bottle of Sprite, a pack of gum, a pencil, and a straw. Yo, what is this all for, bro? You'll see, bro. You will see. So we drive back to Roderick's place, run to his bedroom, and assemble all of our stuff. Roman and I just sit back while Roderick works his magic. He drinks the whole Sprite bottle, takes a gum wrapper, and wraps it over the top. He pokes some holes in the wrapper, and then he stabs the side of the bottle and sticks a straw in. And just like that, we had our own homemade bong made. It was a pretty jank way to smoke weed, and it didn't work all that effectively, but we had to make do with what we had. We were on limited resources. So we smoked out the Sprite bottle. And I don't know what was in this weed, but it affected Roman and I in a way weed has never before since then. In my going for a walk on mushrooms video, I mentioned how the mushrooms made my vision like in Minecraft, how your FOV can increase. In my experience, that's pretty usual for mushrooms, but this was the one and only time that I've had this effect solely from weed. And it wasn't just me. Roman had the same experience with his vision. It was so weird. I don't know what was in this goddamn weed, but it had us looking at things crazy. I was so goddamn giggly too that I just couldn't get enough of these guys. I laughed at everything. It didn't stop. After you smoke a good amount of times, I feel like the giggles eventually just go away. But the first time I had the laughs. Then the fabled munchies kicked in and we had no remorse for the kitchen. We started tearing through everything like savages. There was a fruit bowl in the middle of the kitchen, so I went, don't mind if I do, and wiggled my little fingers. I picked out an apple and there was a fly on the apple, and I don't know why, but this fly scared me. I mean, I don't fuck with bugs. So I threw the apple, I projectile tossed it across the living room, and it hit right into a framed painting and shattered the glass. I don't feel good about this even today, but luckily the painting itself wasn't damaged and his parents were not home at the time. It was fucking loud. They would have known what happened. So we started to panic, but thankfully Roderick is the real homie because he vacuumed up the glass for us. Lord knows, neither of our asses could have functioned a vacuum in our current state. And by this time, I started fucking up the Pop-Tarts and I just forgot about what happened. I wasn't joking when I said we were savages. We were on a real ruffian shit. Roman went back to the room first with his snacks, and as I followed behind him, I entered the room to see that he was unclothed. He was only wearing his undies. He was sitting on Roderick's bed, eating a family bag of chips and watching YouTube videos. I feel like it's almost a universal experience where people smoke weed for the first time and search videos to watch while high on YouTube. And the same videos always just come up too. I know that you have seen this cartoon before. This video had us mesmerized. It was beautiful. We went on a YouTube binge for like over an hour or so, and I couldn't tell you how it happened, but we eventually ended up on Diary of a Wimpy Kid YouTube. We were just enjoying some classics like Greg Heffley is a Sociopath. After we got bored of YouTube, we put on some lo-fi beats, and Roderick had this light projector that put stars all over the walls, and we fell into a slumber. I was paranoid the following week or so because I thought his parents would have noticed the painting frame that I broke, but they never really did. Because of me, there's a painting with no glass in his house, and to this day, nobody has really noticed it at all. So that was the story of the first time I smoked weed. Okay, bye-bye. Moon rocks, aka THC Megazords, is allegedly the most dangerous and powerful devil's lettuce crafting ingredient humans can possibly create with our current technology. Moon rocks are the frontier of all weed advancements, in that if smoked will change the way you view weed for the rest of your life. At least that's how some people were hyping these things up to me before I tried them. So when I first heard about this, naturally the first thing I thought was, the fuck is a moon rock? And you'd think I would have found out after having smoked them, and I'm leading into an explanation, but to be honest, I still don't know. I mean, it's a little nugget, it looks like a rock, and it's really strong. That's all I know. Anyways, here's the story of the first time I smoked a moon rock. I was with my boys as per usual when the idea of moon rocks came up. None of us had actually ever done them before, so it would be all of our first times. But since it was our first times, we didn't have any. But for the most part, we're all big kids now, so a few of us drove down to the dispensary to pick some up. We walk in, ask the employees for moon rocks, and they didn't even know what we were talking about. How do you work at a dispensary and not know what the weed is? We left empty-handed and decided to take some Google searches to find out how to get these. After Google searching, can you get moon rocks at dispensary? We found out that they're actually extremely rare. Not just that, but they're actually illegal. Oh wait, that's talking about the shits from space. Never mind. We loaded up weed maps and found a dispensary that has them. Drove over there, and yeah. We get home, time to get high, baby. Let's go. The price for these things were really steep. It was like $80 a pop, but also the price only added to the group's collective curiosity. So me, Roman, Roderick, and Adam all gathered around this magic rock, marveling at its greatness. Damn, bro, it's beautiful. You really think this tiny rock can really be all that? I don't know, bro. I hear it's illegal. You can't have rocks from space like that, so it's got to be strong. Roderick and Adam were already high going into this, so please pray for their souls. Cameron was also there, but as per usual, he didn't smoke, although he played the most important role in all of this, and that was giving me the information of what happened this night, because if not for him, I would have not remembered anything that happened to me to make this video. So we loaded up the thing, smoked the moon rocks, and almost instantly, you can feel that these things are strong. Off rip, each of us were feeling it quite adequately and splendiferously so. We did the usual goofing around and whatnot as you do when you're high. But all in all, the group was a little disappointed at this point. Yeah, we had a good high, but it wasn't quite the next level experience we were wanting. Considering the hype, we had expectations that this would change our lives and provide lifelong financial freedom or something like that. But little did we know, moon rocks actually have a secret ability that doesn't activate until 15 minutes after being smoked. The high of the moon rocks just kept getting higher and higher for us. After some time, we'd all think, damn, all right, this is actually getting somewhere. And then it would just keep going and going and going. The moon rocks had no plateau. And I guess that's the appeal of them. That's probably why they're called moon rocks, yeah? But anyways, after letting the moon rocks cook, we finally got it. Roderick and Adam being high beforehand definitely made them more zooted than anyone else, because Roderick became completely non-verbal and just lied on the floor, being completely still, while Adam was feeling the texture of the walls going, yo, it feels so real, it feels so good. These two were like the hollows from Dark Souls, dead spirits roaming shallow levels of the astral world, relentless and tormented, clinging on to the last remaining bits of their lives. Me and Roman, we were just really high. Now, what I'm about to say will probably be really controversial and could even possibly ruin my career. But in this heightened state, Roman did the impossible and convinced me that the Ohio meme was actually funny. You know how something that becomes unfunny gets life again by becoming ironic? Well, through that irony, I came full circle to the conclusion that Ohio is funny. He kept pointing and saying, Ohio weed. And I hated it at first. I thought it sucked. I did not think it was a funny joke at all. But by the time he got to his 20th Ohio weed, He eventually broke me. And then he stood over my body as I fell on the ground and said, "I control you now. You're mine." Then proceeded to point at things and do the Ohio meme. In hindsight, I kind of don't think he's remotely funny to me at all, but there's something impressive about the fact that he could bring a day's worth of longevity back to this joke. As for me, I felt like my body was made of the sticky part of Velcro and everything else was whatever you call the other end of Velcro. I jumped on this bed and got completely stuck to it and couldn't get off. But I had a TV and an Xbox at my disposal, and from there, those two simple items brought me something I could only compare to an enlightening and spiritual experience. I queued up some classic Fortnite, went to the creative maps, and attempted to beat Fortnite only up. This collectively brought everyone together to watch me fall off of the first 3 boxes over and over. But every time I would get one more jump on my run, it was unreal. Everyone would pop off. The way they reacted to my gameplay gave me an evil little idea to do some trolling. Naturally, the group conglomerate gets munchies and all charge towards the kitchen, except for me and Cameron. I had to use all of my willpower to not follow them because I had hella munchies as well. But I turned to Cameron and whispered, "Bro, open YouTube for me. I want to see somebody beat this." So we brought up a video as the boys came back, and as they saw these beautiful and excellent jumps being performed before their very eyes, the boys couldn't help but weep. They watched in awe as they thought I was truly beating this whole thing, and I gained loads of respect. You can imagine that next, we all just started watching YouTube and go zombie mode. So all in all, moon rocks are good and really strong and make you go hollow. So if that's what you really want, I recommend. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe button. When it comes to high school, we all have shit memories. Nobody's decision making will be depthful when they don't have consciousness. Even when it was good, it was never all that good. Today, I'm unfortunately here to recall upon a time that has fallen down in infamy. It was a certified bad time. Back in 11th grade, we needed to up the ante and raise the stakes on a daily basis, merely to keep entertained and probably alive with our hormone brains. So we concocted this half-scheme idea to smoke gold. And what I meant by that was to roll a golden joint, surely an absolute premium experience to be had. We wanted that man in the moon weed to get us out of this motherfucking world and to place into our wraps made of gold. But that wasn't enough. We had the brilliant idea of suggesting a boys' feast this night, featuring a steak, a beautiful steak, as the main dish. We fancied ourselves sophisticated philosophers and men of taste. The philosophers in question being me, Roman, Roderick, and Adam. Our combined brain power told us we needed to act fast, or else Adam's plug may take a nap. So Adam texted him at lunch real quick to secure a dub before Mans hit his afternoon weed coma. After school, we hopped in the whip and skirted off. Questing with the boys was never any lightweight situation, you understand. A Socratic philosophical debate carried out inside revolving around how much coinage was required for the night's festivities. If we pooled our money, we had $47, which was probably enough to buy the steak and the weed that we wanted. We pulled up to Safeway and parked the whip to commence the shopping. This was my first time buying meat to cook. I didn't know what to look for, and neither did anyone else. We bought the steak, got in, and got the fuck out of there like that. Adam's plug lived right up the hill, so we zoomed up the hill right after and filled into his basement like weed gnomes. When we got the za, we tell him about our quest and ask him if he knows how or where we could find golden wraps. He goes, "Hold on," as he pulls out a golden cone and a small piece of gold paper. You can either have a pre-roll for 20 or the filter for free, but you can't have both. This is what I meant when I said high school was shite. This moment right here should have been it all. Anyways, the boys mentally connect for a moment and confirmed that we're all like, fuck this guy. So we grab the filter and head out. Before we leave, he gives us 3 shops that wouldn't card, according to him. With 2 of the 3 ingredients Canadians scored, everybody hopped back in Adam's car and set course for the first shop. We for real felt like American navies in this moment. Brave seamen who ventured into unknown waters for booty. As we pulled into the parking lot, Adam said he wanted to go in first. So we blessed his ass with ancient prayers before exiting the vehicle. He comes back empty-handed and looking a tad unnerved. He explains that he went in to find a really chill, young-looking guy behind the counter. But as he started to browse around, he noticed that there was a bit of a switch up. An old guy sat crossing his arms and glaring at Adam from where the other guy was. This did not vibe with Adam very well, so he bolted out the door before he let anything else happen. Exhibit 19 as to why high school sucks. The shit you have to risk your literal life and limb over was never worth it. Looking back, this was not worth the amount of trouble we could have gotten into. From here on out, we decided to call the places to ask if they had any specialty wraps, but the second and third shops that the plug had given us were a no-go. So we decided to Google 24 karat gold weed wrapping paper for sale near me. This turned up some interesting results, and after some more Googling, we narrowed it down to one shop that might have had it. At this point, we're impatient and morally sabotaged after escaping a nearly fatal encounter with the last. As we're pulling into this decrepit looking empty strip mall, we consult the lexicon and find a ritual of protection for our boy Roderick. We gotta buff him with Dark Moon Blade before sending our man out into the fray of Dark Root Garden, bro. This motherfucker Roman starts chanting inaudibly. We wrap up our blessings and Roderick steps out ready to face our collective demons. Adults in authority positions in possession of shit that we want. We wait 5 minutes, then like 8, and then about 10 minutes go by and there's still no sign of him. Finally, he comes out and it looks good. He's got that little grin we all knew meant good things. Roderick went sexy beast mode and not only found the wraps, but convinced this guy that he was 21 enough to buy them. So we had the wraps, we had the za, we had the steak, and we had our magical precious filter. All that was needed now was to assemble the stones like Thanos and rip fat tokes of this golden excellence. Adam's parents still hadn't gotten home yet, so we zoomed over there to prepare the feast. Adam cracks out the pan while Roman and Roderick take over the cooking preparations. Everyone crowds around the cooking skillet watching the steak come up as Adam tries to roll the joint. The problem was that we had not expected the golden wrapping paper to be as thin and slippery as it was. Adam's fingers couldn't really get a good tuck going and fold the paper over. Micro weed nuggets start falling out and I foresee what is about to happen before it does. This moment is God sent. I prophesized the fall of the joint. As we're all there admiring this magnificent cut of beef sizzling on the burner, Adam's hands dip down low, causing every single last crumb of weed to roll out the tip into the steak. Nobody says anything. Then, without saying a word or anything out loud, we all lean forward and start trying to inhale the sizzling weed crumbs off the frying pan. But of course, it doesn't work, so we all cry and piss ourselves for the rest of the night. And that's why high school is ass. Once we finally journeyed to the top floor, all that fear immediately vanished when we got an incredible view of the complete black void. But once we had journeyed through the entire building, the mystique of the place kind of fell off. It turns out that walking through an empty building wasn't actually all that. Roderick started to get really bored, so his fat ass started jumping around, making as much noise as possible. That shit was making creaking noises, so me and Roman were like, stop jumping, stop jumping! Stop. Because we were already tweaking enough. But then we hear what sounds like footsteps, and we all immediately stop in dead silence. We can make out the sound and figure of something approaching us, but we don't know what. It could be a construction worker, police, FBI. As the entity gets closer, we can make out its form to look like a small person, and I think, holy fuck, the goblins are fucking real! But as this thing approaches, we find out it's it's actually a small child. He starts conversing with us like we're not three men in the darkness. So we chop it up with this kid and we find out that he's just some middle schooler wandering around. Now we've acquired a new squad member added to the group. So we probably sit here with him for like 15 minutes until an imminent Jaime FaceTime comes through. Guys, fucking run! The fucking cops! Run! The fucking cops! We start to all panic because again, we are all the way on the top floor. We had imminent law enforcement approaching and had to scale 3 stories of building. The 3 of us immediately understood that we had to get out of there to avoid detainment. But the middle school kid we found was not on the same page. As we start to head out, he stays back, so we turn around like, come with us, little bro! We gotta move! I don't want to risk getting caught. I'm gonna hide somewhere. What the fuck are you talking about? You dumb fucking kid! You're gonna get arrested, you fucking asshole! This middle school child really thought the best operation was to hide in the same location these cops are about to search. I wasn't about to risk jail time saving a kid with $15 shoes, so the 3 of us just left him behind. We sprint down a story, then down another story, and then down another fucking story. We don't want to go out the front door. That would be like the first mission of GTA 5 in real life. We needed another route. So we sneak through a hole in the wall where there would have been a window that leads us to the back and climb over the fence. We had to be real sure our movements weren't suspicious, so we go down a block and circle the perimeter back to Jaime. Jaime's just sitting there in his bush, but with a quick inspection, we see no cops on the premises. So we confront Jaime like, where's the cops, little jit? And he's like, there are no cops. Because Jaime's stupid dumbass just got bored playing lookout and wanted to go home. So we start cooking him up because he's being a little baby. We make him eat shrubs to bully him. Bro was atomically down bad to go home. But the thing is, Jaime had no idea about the middle schooler in the building with us. Little bro got caught in the crossfire and was still in there believing that the cops could approach at any time. So we tell Jaime, there's a kid in there that thinks the cops are showing up because of you. But then the cops actually do pull up. We must have tripped one of those silent alarms, but that's besides the point. We had now somehow inadvertently set up a middle schooler to get caught trespassing by the police. The 4 of us watched the car pull up in complete silence just to see what happens. There was only one cop that gets out of his car and he starts entering the place with a flashlight. You'd think I should have felt bad for the kid here, but I was just glad that I wasn't the one getting caught. Kids don't face legal repercussions anyway, so I'm like, we should all just head out before we get caught. Yeah. I wanna go home anyway, so that works. Any room for me? So we all just started walking home with a skip in our steps, leaving the middle schooler storyline unfinished. Hopefully, that isn't the beginning of the kid's villain arc story, where he finds this video, tracks me down, and kills me in Planet Fitness under a Smith machine. But the journey home that night was restless. Me and Roman were paranoid with schizophrenia, seeing tall black figures lurking in the darkness. When we finally got home, a wave of relief washed over us, and I laid on the floor face down, booty up, melted into the carpet. I couldn't get up from the floor because I didn't want to stomach more goblin sighting videos. Those videos hit too hard. But when you've experienced your own real life goblin sighting, they hit even harder. So the moral of the story here, buy the Ninja clothes. If you wear it to school, your social credit will increase and you'll get unfathomable popularity and sex. Okay, bye guys. I won't lie, the movie theaters is probably the best place on earth that you can go while you're high. If you get the munchies, you can just order the most buttery popcorn you'll ever eat in your life and munch on it for the entire movie. They got those big ass sodas that probably have like 300 milligrams of sugar inside of them. And it's like there's an entire weaponry of snacks that you can choose from to eat. Although your wallet is going to go through some form of financial trauma, I didn't say it was the most cost-effective place on earth, did I? You just have to get through the process of ordering the food, which admittedly is difficult to do while you're high. But once you get into the movie theater room, it's so nice and dark that after 5 minutes pass, you kind of just forget that you're in a public scenario. And the best part is if you're in a good movie, you'll probably just forget that you exist in your entirety. You'll be so invested in whatever you're watching, you're gonna start feeling like you are in the movie, experiencing it firsthand. There's different levels to being high and watching movies that you can be in. If you're just kinda high, you're gonna just feel like you're a little more interested in the movie. If you're pretty high, you're gonna start feeling like you're in the movie. But if you're baked out of your mind, you will feel like you are the movie. My first time going to the movie theaters high, I saw Dragon Ball Super Broly, and this shit had me glued. It was probably the best movie I could have watched. The animation is so goddamn good. It's colorful, it's fast. I mean, what else would you want out of a movie when you're high? I was in the final stage that I mentioned, and I felt like I truly was this movie. I felt like I was Goku. When he screamed, I felt that adrenaline rush. When he powered up into a new form, I felt like a new man. And at that part where he gets his fucking head dragged through an iceberg, I felt the pain alongside. Now, of course, this is all happening in my head. In actuality, I was probably just not moving a muscle with my mouth agape the whole time. I'm sure I was probably drooling, bro. I was only mentally Goku, but physically, I was probably just brain dead. Once you come out of the movies, you feel like a different person. Something deep in your soul changes. These movies have a real influence. I was trying to make Kamehamehas in the parking lot, screaming as loud as I can to power up. I was going crazy. I got home and I wanted to fight people. I had Goku's fighter spirit. It was put into me after watching this. I think the experience heightened my testosterone levels tenfold because I just started wrestling my boys. I was at an unhealthy T level. Like, I was on steroids. I was in trend mode. I don't really watch movies very often, so the Dragon Ball movie is one of the only movies I've really seen while high. I imagine watching movies high most of the time does not turn you into the killer monster I was this day. I imagine most times it's pretty chill, but not in my case. I have a very limited handful of experiences to base my judgment off of. So as for where it stands right now, watching movies high just brings out the evil in me. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows either, because at the end of the day, I ended up throwing up into the toilet. I guess all the literal shit I consumed in the theaters mixed with the strenuous physical activity was not good for my body. So be cautious of that. It's very easy to overeat your snacks in the theaters, but also maybe it was just the movie. Maybe Dragon Ball wasn't actually the best movie to watch while I was high. Encounters with the police are always anxiety-inducing, even if you're innocent. You never know if you're gonna get shot in the head on sight with their guns because they're feeling a little bloodthirsty and want to kill that day. If you've ever had an encounter with the police when you've got something to hide, though, when you got dirty hands and you see those lights, you go into fight or flight. It could very well be the end. Now, I had a little cop altercation recently and it had me shitting myself backwards, so I thought I'd tell the story today because it was very goddamn scary. So I'm chilling with my man Roderick and we gotta head over to my boy, we'll call him Adam. We had to go over to Adam's house because I had left a little jar of mushrooms over there the other night. I had to go over there to pick them up because he was gonna go out of town the next day, so we drove over to his place and we ended up going for a little walk while we were over there. I won't lie though, during this walk through the late night suburbs, we were partaking in some gas, some weed, some za, some goody good. You know, we went around for a bit, it was fun, but by the time we got back to his house, we wanted a little more walking. We were fiending for the walk. We decided we would drive over to the college campus and peruse around that place for a little bit. Now, I wouldn't trust myself to drive a car while high. I know people are about to say that's irresponsible, but this is Roderick driving the car we're talking about. He's high just about every waking moment of his existence. He's good. If he couldn't drive a little high, he wouldn't be able to function as a modern human. And the streets are empty past 9 p.m. where I live, so you'd be hard pressed to even find another human person. So I got my little mushrooms and I was going to put them in the glove box, but my dumbass couldn't figure out how to open it, so I decided to put it in the tunnel console. This seems like a pointless detail, detail, but trust me, it's important. As we were driving to campus, we saw some dude getting pulled over, and then we saw another dude getting pulled over, and then we saw the police lights light up right behind us. Adam was lighting up a joint at the time, and we were also all high, so our hearts sank. But it turns out he was only pulling over the car behind us. We had seen 3 people getting pulled over in the span of like a 10-minute car drive. It was crazy. I guess they just needed to hit that quota, so they were pulling over anyone on the road. We went on our little walk, and as we were walking through the campus, we saw another person being pulled over. This was just absurd. I can guarantee these people probably did not deserve to be pulled over. There isn't that much illegal activity that happens here. As we finished the walk, we started heading to my place since I lived the closest to campus. But as we were driving through the last light to my place, not even a minute away from the destination, Roderick drives through a yellow, and the goddamn police come after us for driving through the yellow light. It was the most clearly yellow light, bro. So we pull over, and we're like, holy shit, we're fucked. We're all high, and we just got pulled over. And in this moment, I remembered that we have mushrooms in the car. We are in possession of illegal drugs, and they're sitting right in the tunnel console that's broken anyways and doesn't have a top to it. So if the cop walked over, he'd just see it sitting there in the middle. So as the cop is walking over to the car, the best thing I can think of is to take the mushrooms and throw them under my seat. Imagine if I had put them in the glove compartment like I originally was going to do. He would have asked for the registration and the drugs would have just been right there. Luckily, I was a stupid, silly little guy this night, and I couldn't figure out how to open it. He comes up to my window, even though I'm the passenger, and he shines this flashlight right in my face, and he's like, "You ran a red, man." He asked the usual questions like, are you under the influence and do you have weapons? Roderick says no to both of these, even though he's high and has knives in his car. I don't even know why he lied about the weapons, dude. He just did. So he goes back to his car for like 20 minutes while he checks the registration, and the 3 of us are just sitting in silence the whole time. The air was thick. It was a loud silence. He comes back to the car and just lets us go. So we head out scared shitless. I get home and I just go to bed immediately and hit the in my bed. I don't know why the cops were so active this night, but I guess it was cool that we didn't get a ticket or caught with drugs. If you take anything from this story, I would take that you shouldn't drive through yellow lights around cops because they will use your life for a quick bag. Some experiences in life are just universally accepted as certified bad time. Like those car crashes on Instagram Reels, talking to a baddie just for your brain to immediately attempt a system reboot, and Chun-Li not being in the Fortnite item shop for 564 days. And the situation of having a scary high is no exception. I can't even play Five Nights at Freddy's past night 2, so it's especially bad for me. Once I start seeing the shadow people, I accept that my time has come. With that being said, the night of my scariest high experience naturally had its share of wallahi I'm finished moments. But I should have known something bad was gonna happen to me because the night starts posted up watching those creepy real life goblin sighting videos. We had the all-star lineup here, me, Roman, and Jaime, enduring footage of these violent creatures. It was so bone-chilling, we all essentially pissed our pants out of fear that goblins could be real. But why were we doing this to ourselves? Because we were actually buying time for BAM! That's right, Roderick's in this story too. We got Big Roderick in the story, baby. He bursts in spouting his famous catchphrase, "Any room for me?" And you already know he came strapped with those gummies as per usual Roderick activity. Without a damn nanosecond of thought, me and Rowan start clawing at Roderick's legs like, "Please give us a gummy, we want gummy!" Once we get our special treats, we start nibbling them down. But Jaime doesn't eat one because when he gets high, he either wants to hurt us or go to bed. All this scary activity had our group in a mood for a creepy experience of sorts. So Roderick immediately strikes us with
with an illegal opportunity. You boys want scary?
Yes! We want it!
Alright, then let's go trespassing.
You know me, I couldn't give up a trespassing opportunity if I tried.
We all equip our hardest black fits and frolic out the front door, hyped for an adventure. Thugging the streets to this spot had us pondering how we wouldn't get caught, so here's the plan. Me, Roman, and Roderick all enter and play around while Jaime, as the sober one, plays lookout in the bushes in case any entities appear. As we pull up, the travel time had allowed those gummies to make us start feeling real giddy and joyous. The spot Roderick brought us to was an apartment under construction. It had 3 floors and a gate around the entire perimeter except for the very front. So we walk into this place and the vibe here feels haunted. We all had the iPhone flashlights on except for Roman because he had the Motorola flashlight, and there was only a few feet of visibility before darkness enveloped the entire group. We pretty much had the Slenderman visibility. We start exploring around and see some creepy stuff like unfinished bathrooms. But all of a sudden, an urge starts to come over me and Roman. Those gummies had a slow creep and decided not to peek until we were a story deep in this dark construction site. This was an overwhelming feeling to the point where we were positively tweaking. Turns out we thought we had eaten a 20 milligram or so gummy, but Roderick's were actually 200. Our dumbasses just read the packaging wrong. But in the context of the story, we never figured this information out. We just chopped it up to the fear and adrenaline.
I've made like 700 videos about weed. I'm an extremely trustworthy and qualified source when it comes to this stuff. So trust me when I say I can tell you exactly what smoking truly be like. So back in the day before my ex-wife left me, when I was a spry young boy, I used to believe all sorts of deceitful lies the world would feed me about weed. The first lie was that it comes in the forms of plants and gummies, and that's it. Once you get into deeper and higher level za smoking, you find out that there's actually 1 gazillion different methods to smoke weed. You got the classic plant and gummies, of course, but then there's also the globular oil weed that you use for dabs. There's spray weed that you squirt under your tongue. Hash is like this resin shit. They have vaporizers for plants as well as oil. There is just so many methods, and to be honest, I don't even know all of them. On top of smoking methods, there's also different strands and hybrids that the people will lead you to believe produce different kinds of highs that vary in effects and quality. And now, this is probably controversial, but I'm gonna be honest, and in my professional opinion, I don't know about all that. When it comes to sativa, indica, bongs, joints, the whole 9, I never really feel a difference. For me, being high is always the same shit, different toilet, if you know what I mean. There's only really 2 variables I've noticed affect my high. The first being the intensity. It probably goes without saying, but if you take a little pen hit compared to a big bong rip, you're gonna feel the stronger one way more than the weaker one. And the second and more important factor is the environmental factors. Where you are really determines how the high feels. This one time after school, I went over to a friend's house and did a little epic smoky time. And by the time dinner came around, I was still high. So I had to sit at the dinner table with this dude's family and act like I was sober, overthinking every little decision I made. And when you're staring at a pile of mashed potatoes, trying to figure out if eating it with a fork as opposed to a spoon makes you come off like more of a human being, it's not a good environment. But when you're in the comfort of your own bed, free from all societal expectations, it just makes the high hit differently. The people that you're with are also a major environmental factor in determining your high. And under all circumstances, do not smoke with weed people. I see the irony in this considering my channel, but trust me guys, I'm more than my internet persona. When you smoke with weed people that make their entire personalities about weed, you just end up doing nothing but smoking. And once you're high and realize that this is all you're doing, you're gonna get depressed and start questioning what the purpose of everything is. And these people are always the ones that swear that they can just stop at any time and that weed isn't addictive. Bruh. You can be addicted to eating rocks. You can be addicted to chewing on literal sand from the ocean. Of course, weed can be addictive. Do not believe their slop and propaganda. That's the most brain dead thing someone can say. But at the same time, these dudes can just walk amongst society high at all times and just live like that. And I don't know how they do it. I'll be roaming amok my 6th period American literature curriculum, and dudes will be hitting the pen whilst deciphering the societal implications and commentaries of classic literature. Maybe there's some high-level powers of weed I haven't unlocked yet, but all I can do is eat yummy food and laugh at funny videos while my head is empty when I'm high. So let's say you've got your smoking method decided. You're in a comfortable environment and you're not with weed people. Once you smoke and the effects start settling in, you're gonna be feeling all good and cozy. Your brain will probably be a little bit empty and your thoughts will be a little more caveman-like. When you get high for the first time, you're gonna mentally become a lot like a big boss baby, and everything is gonna be really funny to you. And after a minute, the munchies will come in and you will eat like a goddamn monster. And no matter how much of the food that you're eating is slop, it's gonna taste like gourmet 5-star cuisine. It's gonna be so good. You'll experience heightened sensory perceptions. After what you think is an hour passes, you're gonna look at your phone and realize that it's actually only been 5 minutes because your perception of time is fucked up. But also, your concentration and motor skills are gonna be even more fucked up. You won't be able to move around very easily. Sometimes if you smoke enough, you'll get this lag effect. Moving your body will feel way slower than your brain actually thinks it is. Just don't smoke too much or you'll inevitably get scared and anxious despite your environment and probably think that you're gonna die. Trust me, it's happened to myself, and it's not something you want to go through. In my opinion, the best way to view weed is as an enhancer. If you're in an uncomfortable situation, it will only make it more uncomfortable. But if you're with your boys, maybe getting a little Vic Roy on the battlefield, getting into a little questing and mischief, it'll make you feel like you are truly killing real human beings in Fortnite. Just don't smoke too much, pace yourself, and you'll be alright. Okay, that's the video. Subscribe. I recently bought an Airbnb to stay in for 50 hours and get deviously high for the entire time period. Every 5 hours that passed, my beautiful friend Cameron would spin a giant wheel with various different challenges I would have to complete. By default, every 5 hours, I would also eat a 25 milligram edible, progressively getting higher and higher as the challenge went on. But if I failed the challenge, Cameron would force me to eat an additional 2 gummies, which, you know, would probably end up with me passed out if I failed too many. For the first 5-hour block, Cameron spun that massive wheel and got make a PowerPoint. So I eat my gummy and start thinking about what I'm going to make this PowerPoint about. I'm looking around this Airbnb room for inspiration, but there's not much to work with. But then I feast my eyes upon something great. It was one of those corny Christian house decor items, and I thought, yeah, I can work with this. I got to work tirelessly on this PowerPoint. Although those gummies started to hit halfway through, so it took me a bit longer than I anticipated, that was nothing the Lord's strength couldn't handle. After hours of endless work, I had a finished product to present to Cameron. Alright, Cameron, so this is why Jesus Christ should definitely smoke weed by Ninye. Let's be honest here, he's still a person at the end of the day, just like me and you. And I bet being the Holy Lord comes with a lot of stress and anxiety. I bet smoking weed would really help him out with that. Let's do a little activity. Let's count on our hands how many of our friends believe in the Lord's faith. Yeah, that's right, not a single one. The youth are quickly losing faith, but smoking weed will make Jesus way cooler and way more relatable to younger people. Here's just a quick before and after. Jesus before he smokes weed and Jesus after he smokes weed. As you can tell, there's a big upgrade here. Without weed, he is mid. Faith will be peak again. Thank you for listening. Cameron thought my presentation was very cool and impressive, so afterwards I didn't have to eat any extra gummies and I was free until hour 10. Something I didn't foresee is that these activities would not take nearly as long as the 5-hour time slots between them allowed for. So I had a lot of free time. All that free time meant lots of hours on TikTok while high, which perfectly transitioned into the hour 10 challenge. I ate a gummy and Cameron spun the very giant and real wheel, and I got watch TikTok and make a top 5 list of the best ones you find. I had already been grinding TikTok for a few hours, so I knew I could make the most fire top 5 TikToks. I scrolled for a few more hours because I wanted a varied sample group of videos. After my many hours of hard labor were over, I meticulously handcrafted the perfect videos from my likes. First, I started off with a beautiful penthouse view of Cameron's favorite city in Chongqing, China, followed by this Roblox depiction of a child abduction, which I felt Cameron could relate to very well. I did a bit of a 1-2 combo here because the next video of Hasbulla is also something I imagine Cameron can relate to pretty closely. The next one was a pretty cool rock formation in Ireland, but it didn't actually matter at all because it was all set up for the grand finale TikTok of this epically laughing dog. Not gonna lie, I think that last one was the slam dunk that sealed the deal here because I had Cameron dead and I passed with flying colors. Hour 15 came, Cameron spun the wheel, and this time I had to make and drink a smoothie with all the delicious ingredients Cameron had so graciously bought me and put into the refrigerator. I had hella munchies at this point, so I was looking forward to this easy little break challenge I had gotten myself into. I opened the refrigerator and the only 2 things he had bought was cauliflower and a bottle of water. Bro, what is this? Why are these the only things? Oh, you know, it's just a little something, you know? I'm not gonna shred cauliflower and drink it with water, bro. Cameron was thinking 3 steps ahead of me because he knew I wouldn't eat this dung. He was doing a bit of what we call in the industry throwing for content. He felt I wasn't getting high enough, and if I were to fail this challenge and eat extra gummies, it would make things a little more interesting. I won't lie, it ended up working. During hour 15, I ate a total of 3 gummies because this little pitfall he had set for me. By the time hour 20 came, I was sloshed. This was the 1 hour that we didn't spin the wheel. The idea was that I had to build a pillow fort, which would really just be me making a bed to sleep in since I was 20 hours into this challenge and I had to sleep. But before I did that, I had already passed out. So when I was awoken all groggy at hour 25, Cameron had the 4 gummies I had to eat at the ready. This was the point where it was all just pain. I had to eat 100 milligrams of edibles after waking up from my shite sleep that only lasted 5 hours. Already we had to spin the wheel again, and it was a game of hide and seek where I had to hide from Cameron for a successful 30 minutes. I won't lie though, I just went into the closet with as many blankets as I could find, covered myself, and passed out. I ended up sleeping the whole time again, and to be honest, I woke up sloshed again and royally fricked from the residual hour 25 gummy load. As I awoke, Cameron came to me with an extremely devious smile and said, "Hey man, you gotta go to the kitchen. I got you something special for hour 30. Come on, big guy." So I got up feeling like I had just gotten hit by a car and waddled into the kitchen to see a big GoPuff bag. The wheel landed on a free spot, dude, so I got a gift for you. Oh my god. After 30 long hours of suffering, I finally have something good happening to me. I'm so hungry. I don't even care what you picked me, dude. I'll eat anything. Thank you so much. I grabbed the bag in excitement, and as I opened it, the only thing it was a super suction blue 12-inch dildo. Wow, thanks, bro. Thanks for buying me this. I actually ended up finding a lot of utility out of Cameron's epic item he got me because the suction on the bottom made for an awesome trick shot item. So I threw this thing around the house, bottle flipping it on just about every surface I could find until I accidentally stuck it to the ceiling and it was too high for me to retrieve. The suction on this thing was supreme. It was really stuck up there. Hour 25 was actually my favorite moment. I was tasked with making a song. I didn't have any kind of experience with music production, but Cameron did. He gave me his laptop with FL Studio to make an epic song, but he didn't actually help me at all. This song ended up taking me hours of tireless work since I had no idea how to use the application, but I seriously think I found my calling here. Once I figured out the basics, I was like Kanye West in the studio. The music was flowing through my fingertips, and I made one of the most fire songs I had ever heard. But enough talking about it, I'll just play the song for you guys. For some reason, Cameron didn't like this song though, because his head is too far up his ass. So I ended up eating an extra 2 gummies, and it was off to hour 40. The wheel spun, and what was required was a battle of willpower, discipline, and heart. I had to step outside in merely my undies while it was blisteringly cold and blizzarding, and survive standing in the snow like a Joe Rogan ice bath for 5 minutes. If I were to fail this challenge, I'd have to eat a gummy for every remaining minute on the clock. So the stakes here were higher than ever. I took a moment to collect myself, as I knew this would take an incredible amount of focus. So I did that thing you do where you sit at your bedside in the morning and take in the fact that you have to live another day on this earth. Except instead of a bed, it was on a couch side, and I was preparing for war. As I initially went outside, the cold hit me hard. Instantly, I wanted to turn back. But I saw the sinister look Cameron had in his eyes. I saw how badly he wanted to feed me all those gummies, and I was determined to prove him wrong. Against all odds, I step into the snow and shock instantly spreads throughout my entire body. I'm shivering, my teeth are chattering, but more than anything, I was persevering. With every passing second, the cold became slowly more bearable and I became slowly stronger. In the midst of this intense and cold winter, I found that there was within me an invincible summer. No matter how hard the world pushed me, there was something stronger, something better, pushing me right back. After the 5 minutes were up, I walked back into the warm indoors and felt an indescribable warmth return to my body. Unfortunately, this hour's triumph was also my last. After withstanding 40 hours high, 275 total milligrams of edibles in 5 minutes in the snow, it was just too much stress for my body. I passed out for good right at the home stretch and didn't get back up to finish all 50 hours. While I lost the challenge, the lifelong lessons I learned throughout the excruciating pain I endured these 2 days made up for it. Maybe another day I'll have to try this again and succeed, but anyways, that's the video. Subscribe, bye! I also have a second channel now, so subscribe to this Ninja Plus. Smoking the grass is unironically my career at this point, so you'd think I could hold my own against a little something, right? But this New Year's, I had a man of very high stature and business class offer me some za from his world, and it was like nothing I had ever done up until that very moment. But like I said, it was New Year's. The whole gang was downtown following Roderick around like little baby ducks because he supposedly had a surprise for all of us. So once we all get to the square where the ball drop was going to happen, he leads us all into an office building and up this elevator. Are we even supposed to be here, dude? I don't care. I literally was not asking you. Bro, get me out, sus, get me out! Gentlemen, trust me, we're good. Now collect yourselves and become presentable. We get to the top floor and step into this massive office building overlooking downtown. To my side, there's a table covered with tons of different drinks. Yo, what is this place? It's my parents' office, lads. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see him. It's big man Roderick's very own father. But he explains to the group that throughout the night, all of his lawyer and business friends would be coming through, and that we were all welcome to as many drinks as we wanted. So the boys go feral. Let's go! Hey, give me that. Thank you. You want my vape, bro? All right. Oh, God. I miss her. I miss her, bro. You know, sharing always makes me feel better. Do not fret. Cameron was the sober man that would be taking us all home this night. We were all being very responsible. So we all start opening the office windows and yell nonsense at random pedestrians. Before we know it, the place starts to fill with lawyers. The group breaks up, and in the presence of all of these high-value individuals, I taught some guy's wife how to floss. 10 p.m. was closely approaching, which meant that the first ball drop was about to happen before the real one at midnight. We all link up, look out the window, and despite this not even being the real New Year's celebration, the streets are filled with swarms of people. As we all marvel at this horde, we see a familiar face standing outside. It was our boy Tony. We need to go out there. So we all run down the stairwell and out out the back exit, but as we left the door, we ran past one of the big dog lawyers that I had recognized seeing upstairs, and he was smoking something. So I made a mental note before joining the crowd. We gave Tony monumental greetings until ball drop time was about to happen. We all run to the center of the crowd, bust down excellent style for a few minutes until returning back to the lawyer office, stench and sweat covered from all of that bussing. Back up the elevator, I lead the squad into a small conference room and explain to them, boys, I think there's weed on the premises. I want to get my hands on it before the real New Year's event happens. So we start scouting around the office looking for the guy I had seen earlier. We ended up finding him still at the same spot prior, and as we walked out, the legend offered us some. So we all, minus Cameron, smoked with this lawyer, and before it really hit us, it was quite chill. So once we had our fun, it was back up to the office to devour the sandwich rolls and prepare for battle at midnight. Roman and Roderick start devouring every last crumb like savage berserkers, but I'm feeling a little differently. Yo, guys, that lawyer stuff is really hitting diff right now. How do you feel? I'm gonna go to that conference room again. So I'm sitting in the conference room alone. On the floor, I find a bunch of strings and start assorting them from longest to shortest. These two women walk into the room like, what are you doing? I'm playing with strings to stay alive. And that's all I remember out of that interaction. There was this dude that also came in as well, and he talked to me for like 5 minutes, but I have no memory of a word he said. Eventually, Cameron and Adam came into the room. Bro, we lost Roman and Roderick. Lamau. Do you need to go home, dude? Yeah. Alright, bro, we'll try and call them. And about 18 phone calls were made to Roman's phone, and not one was answered. Cameron and Adam decided they'd face the New Year's storm out in the streets to look for the two, while I stayed up in the office, so they moved out. It didn't take long for me to get bored of sitting in this conference room, so I get up and leave to look out the window and watch the ball drop from there. As I'm staring out this window, I eventually do see Roman and Roderick out there going crazy in the square. I watch them for a few minutes until Roderick walks away to get drinks from a bar or something. So Roman's out there all alone. Then there's this big middle-aged dude pushing his way through the crowd of people for I don't know why. Roman was in big man's trajectory, so once he eventually shoves Roman shoves him back. And then this dude punches Roman so hard that he falls to the ground and the police detain the unhinged big man. After seeing that, I thought, well, I should let them know I found Roman. So I walked down calling Cameron, telling him to meet me at the office entrance. As the both of us link, it's about a minute until New Year's, and everyone around us is going bananas, so we just stay put not to lose each other. Once midnight struck and the ball dropped, I just stared up into the sky completely unmoving and honestly feeling nothing. That za had me a stoic. So where's Roman? I lost him. Damn. Okay, well, I'm just gonna take you home, bro. You're clearly sloshed. I'll find them later. So my handsome little savior drives me back to my place. I get inside, and as I'm taking my stuff out of my pockets, I realized I still have Roderick's vape, but I didn't care and instantly passed out. And if you want to know what happened with Roman after this dude punched him and what went down once I left, you're gonna have to wait 3 months for when Roman makes his own video, because I don't know what happened. Boo-hoo. Okay, that's the story. Subscribe. Bye. Once you enter the demon realm of young adult life, the dynamic of Halloween shifts from candy time to party time. But that is not a memo I accepted. I still wanted to go out and collect some candy booty. I didn't want any of that booty, you know what I mean? So during my freshman year of college as a dormitory resident, I had my eyes on a different prize than my colleagues. So I'm sitting in my dorm room alone on Halloween, dressed as Batman with a fire in me to make something funny happen. There's this girl that lives down the hall I kinda knew, so my plotting started with her. My awesome plan was to go to her dorm room door and trick or treat. I'd get a few laughs, maybe a piece of candy, and I'd call that a W. So I knock on the door like, I am Justice, trick or treat. Oh my god, you're so funny, I've got just a thing for you. She gives me a Skittles bag like, don't eat too many. But I'm just popping off. I had been living impoverished off PB&J sandwiches the past month, so this was essentially gold. cold. Before I leave, she adds, I'm having a little get together in a minute, so if you want to come over, you can. So I'm like, sure, I'll go over, knowing damn well I'm not going back to that place. I got my loot and that's all I wanted. I get back to my room and I'm snacking on these delights, probably watching Hunter x Hunter. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh damn, I'm really high right now. The fuck? On closer inspection, these were edible Skittles, but I mean, they hardly show it. I was like, why'd she give these to me? Honestly, I was fine with eating edibles since I didn't have anything better to do, but I just thought the situation was weird. So I go back to her room to see if she meant to give these to me, and as I knock on the door, she answers it like, oh my god, you came, come on in, come on in. I had forgotten she had a little get together I was invited to, and I didn't want to be rude and leave, so I went in, and when I saw this place, this was not how I imagined her little get together at all. It had to have been some kind of sorority party because there was like 10 girls essentially wearing lingerie, and then me dressed as Batman. They were drinking, playing games, and I'm completely out of my element and pretty high. I'm a married man. I can't be put in situations like this. So I'm like, yo, this party is epic. I'm gonna go get some water. I fill up my glass and just sit at the kitchen counter alone, trying to think of the quickest way to get out of here. I text the big man Adam to come to the door and get me out of here. I give him the room number and I say to just open the door and ask for Batman. But I didn't get a moment to see if he replied because this girl comes up to me and sits at the counter. Hey, what are you doing over here? And this is when I made a decision I look back on as highly questionable. I was new to college and I didn't want to taint my name so soon and be known as the Batman guy that sat alone at the party. So what I do is I go full Batman mode and protect my identity by speaking like Batman. I'm just thinking about criminals, you know. Haha, that's funny. You should come over and play games with us. It may have not been the best decision, but I ate a lot of those Skittles and these people were drunk enough I could speak like Batman all I want without repercussions. This girl takes my arm, pulls me over to a beer pong setup, and hands me a ball. I didn't want to drink. I'm already zooted beyond belief, so I'm aiming between the cups so that the ball just hits the edge and bounces away. And this whole time, I'm just hoping that Adam got my text and would come through the door and save me. The more I miss, the more these people are chanting for me to get a ball in. Eventually, one of the balls land. I gotta drink it, and they're chanting for me to get more. So I do one more, and then they chant again for me to do one more. They just don't want me to stop drinking and getting these balls in the cups. I realized that this is just gonna keep happening forever, and I can't keep this up anymore. So I use the tried and true stalling method. I need to go to the bathroom. I check my phone to see if Adam's on the way, and I stand in this bathroom for like 5 minutes until I got out because I don't want to be in there for a suspiciously long time. I walk out and see the girl that invited me here. I walk up to her and I'm like, yo, did you know those Skittles were edibles? Yeah, I know you like weed, so I thought you'd like that. Huh. I guess that makes sense. Then all of a sudden, the door busts open. Adam is dressed as an Among Us and shouts, I need Batman! I'm like, duty calls. And the two of us sprint out of the party and back to my room laughing the entire way. Bruce Wayne was safe and back in the Batcave and could watch anime all he wanted without the distraction of sorority girls. I repaid Adam by giving him the rest of my Skittles and I passed out into a weed coma. Alright, that's the story. Subscribe. Bye. I went to a farm and did za. Remember when I said I was going to Iowa? That wasn't a lie. A month ago, I packed my bags with every prized possession I own, and then, boom, I landed in Iowa, where Roman, the cutthroat, bone-smashing big back, picked me up and drove me to the corn farm. Now, here's the kicker about the state of Iowa. They don't got legalized za. So I'm in the car sweating profusely, twiddling my fingers and blushing a little bit like, Roman, how are we gonna get the stuff? How are we gonna do it? But he reassured me he had the methods. He looked me up and down and said, don't worry, I have the methods, which I found very reassuring. So we pull up to the farmland and do a few days of farming. I don't know a thing about farming, so when they do they work, I just stand idle like the red Lego guy. But then the day came. The day Roman would show me his methods and we could have fun and play with each other. He brings me to his uncle's house on the farm and we acquire gummies via the cutthroat unk method. Roman's uncle gave
gave us the hookup. We pay our thanks to Mr. Cutthroat Unk for bestowing us gummies and tiptoe out the front door, just in case the police heard our footsteps. But once we securely took the package back to our place on the farm, it was time to get freaky. The average human being would probably think the only thing to do in Iowa at night is get eaten by monsters in the cornfields and visit the Field of Screams. But I'm not the average person, and I had a plan. You see, farms have these little vehicles called mules, which are literally just golf carts. I wanted to do this edible and drive to the only location that existed in this goofy small town, and that's Casey's gas station. I hadn't been high in like 3 months, and I was prepared for the hella munchies. And so we ate this edible and watched the Teen Titans Go movie until they started to hit. Fast forward a bit, and once I was starting to develop feelings for Starfire, I knew it was game time. Brother, are you ready to do this shit? Most definitely. We get our things and frantically bolt to the door, but we both fucking stop in our fucking tracks because right before our eyes was Roman's cat Manhole. Bro really named his cat Manhole. But Manhole was mad cute, bro, on some type shit, you feel me? He was on some, you want a little treat, Manhole? And upon inspection into the cabinet, we had only whole wheat bread. Manhole, I'm so sorry you're gonna have to starve to death. Nah, bro, nah. We gotta get him snacks. Snacks from the gas station. You don't mean, oh, I mean. You see, Manhole loves hot dogs. And what's at the gas station but $4 hot dogs? So now the move is to get our little asses in the mule and travel all the way to Casey's to acquire the $4 hot dogs so that Roman's cat could enjoy his favorite snack. The two of us say a heartfelt goodbye to Manhole as we hop in the mule and begin our travels. The nearest gas station was like 15 miles away, and the mule only goes about 30 miles an hour, but I wasn't about to drive this thing at top speed. That sounded scary. So we had about an hour-long journey through the dark, desolate corn and soybean fields to get this hot dog. And let me tell you, when you're off the Unk gummy in the pitch black darkness, it makes you think skinwalkers are about to abduct you. It's straight up like a liminal space. When I say it's all corn and soybeans, I mean it. The terrain is Minecraft super flat with miles of farmland stretched out as far as you can see. There'd be an occasional farmhouse we'd pass, but the only thing to really focus on was the windmills that would flash red lights at you all in unison. I straight up thought supernatural entities were about to eat me alive and stop me from getting my hot dog. This shit was getting to my head until Roman was like, you wanna listen to some music? Oh yeah, bro, what do you wanna listen to? And he plays the goofiest banjo tunes I done ever heard in my life, but something about them put my mind at ease. We felt like real farmers with this stuff playing. And after a bit of driving, I happened to spot something with my little engorged eyes. The mule came to a screeching halt and I'm like, bro, do you see that? No. Look, right there. Look, right there. And Roman's gross jaw fell to the ground because what we had just run into was some weed lying on the ground just asking to be stolen, which sounds far-fetched, but I'll get to it. Now, the two of us have an IQ of 140 combined. And I didn't realize this wasn't actually weed. It was a marijuana plant which grows as like an invasive species or something. You can't actually smoke this stuff and get high. But again, combined to 140 IQ. Oh my god, there's no fucking way, bro! We gotta steal this shit. We need every last bit. So we start pulling the weed out of the damn soil and loading the mule up with it. We were driving away with plants hanging out the sides of the doors thinking we just hit the jackpot. I start doing a little bit of trolling like, you know, Roman, if you eat those things, you'll get a little bit high. That's how edibles work. Holy dude, no way. Roman starts fucking that food up, eating the plants as we proceed with this journey. We pull up to the gas station, get out, and have a moment to lock in and pretend to be sober. If this gas station employee had even an inkling that we were high, they'd probably call the cops and put us in prison. That's just the Iowa culture. Stakes were high here. We enter the building and immediately I don't know where the hot dogs are. It's in the dead of night and we're the only ones in there. So the gas station dude starts hitting us with some lethal southern hospitality like, what brings you folks in here so late? I never seen you two. Oh, you know, we're just Hungry? What would you guys want? Hamburger. Oh shit, I can't go back on this. I fucked up. No, we want the $4 hot dog. I thought I'd be suspicious if I said my order wrong, so I doubled down like, no, I want the hamburger. He wants the $4 hot dog. Well, I'm sorry, but we don't have hamburgers, but I can get you that hot dog. And now I look real sus because who not just goes to a gas station for hamburgers but doubles down on it? There's not a gas station on earth that has hamburgers. I had to get out of there, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go look somewhere else. Which sounded like I was gonna leave, but I was just going to the candy aisle while Roman got the hot dog. And looking at those chocolate bars, I felt myself going non-verbal and feeling paralyzed. But something about them made me laugh. The Hershey's made me start chuckling to myself because I was thinking about Mr. Beast Feastables, and I thought it would be really funny to ask the guy if they had Feastables. I wasn't about to actually do that, but I did text Roman, bro, what if we asked for Mr. Beast Feastables? And then from the other side of the gas station, I hear, yo, do you guys have the Mr. Beast chocolates? And I start holding my face, trying not to laugh. I looked like a psychopath. I didn't think he'd actually ask on my behalf. So as Roman gets that hot dog and leaves, I follow behind before this dude stops me like, you didn't want anything? And I couldn't talk at this point. I was cooked. So I just gave this guy a cheeky smile as we both just walked out. He probably thought that we just robbed him because as soon as we got out, we both just sprinted right back to the mule. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from my big dog Roderick, and I reject that shit immediately and whip the mule back to the farm. And overall, I'd say that interaction was like a 3 out of 10. But now we finally had the hot dog, and we were on our way to give it back to Manhole. Roman had to put his banjo music back on to regulate our nervous systems from the gas station incident, and halfway through the drive home, we had something happen that didn't happen on the drive there. We started to see headlights approaching us on the road. This was the first car we've seen, and I thought, it's the fucking police. This guy called the fucking police on us. Dude, our car is full of weed. We're fucked. So we pull over and turn the headlights off, going incognito mode, throwing all the marijuana plants on the ground. In this frenzy, Roman dropped the hot dog on the ground. All the condiments and buns fall off and it gets all dirty. This hot dog is no longer edible, and on top of that, we forgot to turn the banjo music off as this car is approaching. It luckily just passed us, and it was not a cop, but that was a real scare. And the rest of the drive home was just depressing because of the travesty that just happened to our dog. But we made it back alive and rinsed that shit off for Manhole to enjoy. Giving the cat his snack was a success, but we forgot to retrieve munchie food, so the two of us just ate our whole wheat bread for the rest of the night and crashed out. This was the most depressing night of my life. Being an Iowa crash out isn't good for the soul. So the lesson today is don't be a farmer because they don't have Postmates out there. Okay, bye.
Target is an amazing place, isn't it? I don't know what it is about this grocery store, but somehow I just always find myself going here even when I have absolutely no reason to be in Target. It's just the superior Walmart. I walk into Walmart and it's like a wave of depression just hits me. No one wants to be there. The floors are all gray. It's terrible. But on the other hand, I walk into Target and the exact opposite happens to me. Maybe it's the floor colors. That could really be the secret. So I love Target, but that's just when I'm sober. If I smoke and then I go into a Target, it's just a different story. This is my happy place. Jumping over a ball and entering those doors, I become unstoppable. I don't know if your Target is like this, but most of the ones that I've been to have a Starbucks as soon as you walk in. So I'll be going up to the Starbucks as soon as I walk in there, and I'll pull the, can I get and I just can't help myself to eat one of those ooey gooey delicious little pastries they sell there. I end up buying one of those caramel ribbon crunch frappuccinos and drink the whole thing while I'm in the store with no regard to the impending diabetes that I'm going to have. I end up getting super high and cracked off this caffeine, and I've just started. I just walked through the doors and I'm fucked. I don't know if other people experience this, but whenever Whenever I'm in a public grocery store while I'm high, I just walk around with a big smile on my face and I can't control it. I don't want to be walking around with this big ass grin. I try and resist it, but it just can't be stopped, which becomes a problem because when you're high in public, you don't want people to know you're high. Me especially. Even if I'm chilling at home and I'm high, I try and keep it from everyone. It's just like an instinct. I have no reason to do this. I just kind of do. So I'll just be in Target feeling like I'm the most suspicious guy on the planet because of this big ol' smile. To be honest, I probably am. I mean, people see me, they perceive me. I probably am sus as hell. And that's why you gotta wear a mask when you go out high. That's a little wisdom for you. Despite being an adult man, the first place I'm gravitated to is, of course, the Lego aisle. I know I'm not gonna buy any of these Lego sets too. They're way too expensive, but there's a strange enjoyment in just staring at them. Maybe I'm imagining me having them and that's enough to satisfy me, or it could be that I'm reminiscing on the long lost childhood wonders these blocks once gave me. Such a pure joy that could never be recreated in my current broken state. But either way, I just like looking at the different Lego sets Target has. And I always find myself back in the exercise equipment section as well. You know where they have those weird curvy sticks? I have no idea what these are supposed to do or what they are, but I always pick it up and just mess with it. You know, I'll poke my back a few times with it and just put it down, as confused as I was the last time I tried doing this. And it's always a Target tradition to try and curl the 40-pound dumbbells. You just can't resist the masculine urge to curl the Target 40-pound dumbbell. I'll be in the aisle getting an entire workout in. And don't even get me started on the big ball bin. I be bouncing them big balls through the halls. I just be bouncing them balls all I want. No one can stop me from bouncing the big balls. I never buy them though. I don't know one person that's ever bought in these balls, but you always gotta play with them. And then I conclude my awesome 20-minute Target trip of the day. Still high, just with a lot of sugar and caffeine in my system. My hands are still empty because I don't ever buy shit. Call me the menace of Target. I just be messing with things. Now that I think about it, I really just do fuck with Target a lot. When I used to live in college dorms, I didn't want to pay for a parking pass, so I just parked at Target and left my car there overnight for like an entire year, and no one stopped me despite the sign saying that you can't park at Target. And another message, thank you for 10,000 subscribers. Jesus fucking Christ, like this just happened so goddamn fast. I don't know where it came from, but you know, I'm about it. So what I want to do for 10,000 subs is a Q&A video. So what you can do is either just comment on this video a question, or I made a community post. You'll probably have more luck getting it answered if you reply on the community post rather than the comments, but you know, just go ahead and do that. Okay, bye. When I first started to smoke weed in high school, I would smoke a little too confidently. I really thought highly in my ability to hold my weed and seem like an outwardly functional person. And that overconfidence is how this story starts. Now that I think about it, overconfidence always seems to be the starting place for a lot of my stories. I think I've just got an underdeveloped frontal lobe. Anyways, me and my friends talked the day prior about doing our first wake and bake before school. So I was like, I gotta smoke weed as soon as I awake. And so I did. And I went hard this morning. My philosophy was that I had to smoke enough that it would last the entire school day. So I ripped the fattest bong rips of my life, not even before I left my bed. I got out of the bed and got to my shower, and I just stood under the water for like 20 minutes. This is where I started to think, did I smoke a little too much today? Nah, I think I'm good. I eventually got out of the shower because I started to get munchies for breakfast. You know you're gonna have a crazy day when you get the munchies for breakfast. I then proceeded to eat 3 entire bowls of peanut butter Captain Crunch. I ate so much, I felt pregnant. It was a lot of cereal. I got out the door and waited for the bus, and once I got on, I started looking around for my boys. And once I found them, the ugly truth came out. All these dudes were sober. I had been duped. I was the only person that had gone through with the plan, and I couldn't get off this bus. I had no choice but to face this entire school day way higher than I'd ever managed before, all by myself. I felt like a kid who had nobody come to his birthday party. I was alone, dude. To give you an example for how high I really was, the entire bus ride, I just looked at the floor with my eyelids halfway open. I was spacing out of my mind. I felt like I was accepting the warm embrace and darkness of death. Once the bus got to school, I came back to my body and my boys helped me in. We sat in the hallway, and before the school day started, these guys were having a whole Socratic seminar around my lifeless body. How the fuck are we supposed to deal with this problem? I mean, we could make him throw up so he's a little more sober. I don't want to throw up. I don't want to lose my cereal. I ate a lot of it this morning. I got next period with him, so I could just help him out in class there. All right, that sounds good. We'll just try and ride this out the whole day. And then the bell rang and I'm practically dragged to my first period. We were in a science class, and luckily for me, we were having one of those days where we just watch National Geographic, and that was about all we did. I sat in the back of the class with my friend, which was being my caregiver for the class, and we had to do these worksheets as we watched through the video, but I ignored them altogether. I even remember the exact video we watched this day. It was a documentary about gorillas called Go Ape. And I couldn't contain myself watching this shit, man. I mean, the monkeys and apes are just so silly, dude. In the way that the narrator talked was so seriously about them. It was killing me. He would say some stuff like,
"She's dependent on the bigger male to keep her safe, though he spends most of his time munching leaves."
and I'd be in the back of the class like, and the teacher would just look at me down with these shut up eyes. But I mean, look at this. It's still funny while sober. You cannot blame me for this at all. Just look at the way they look. They're so goofy. So the class ended and I went to the next, which I had the same friend in. So once again, I could have my little guardian to make sure nothing bad happens to little old me. After watching Go Ape, I was feeling good. Normally, I would be anxious about getting caught high at school, but this video just put me in the right mindset. Or maybe it was just that I was too high, I couldn't feel negative emotions, I don't know. Anyways, we get to the next class and it's math, so the subject is a little more involved, but again, I was chilling. My friend had to carry all of the stress going in here, which I love him for doing. If it weren't for him, I would have been done for. Thank you very much. 20 minutes into the class, I've got to royally poo in the toilet because of all the milk I drank this morning. So I raised my hand and the teacher is just ignoring me. And in all this time, the anticipation builds in my head for how I'm going to communicate that I need to go. I just decide this anticipation doesn't feel good. So I get up and walk out of the class. I do my business, and as I'm walking out of the bathroom, some kid is approaching me that the teacher had sent to go and get me. You gotta go back to class, man. All right. I get back to the class and the teacher's like, "What do you think you're doing leaving my classroom?" And I pull out the classic I threwed up card and I get sent to the nurse. So I gotta leave the class again, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't go to the nurse. I just go back to the bathroom and sit on the toilet until lunch. Now, this whole time I'm on the toilet, I'm thinking of a way that I can get out of school before lunch is over. I didn't feel sick at all and I wasn't about to make myself throw up. So my great plan that I had thought up was to go onto Google Images and find an image of a toilet with vomit in it. I know it's gross, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I found the right image that looked identical to the school bathroom, and I showed the image to the nurse, and I was like, I'm sick. I need my mom to pick me up. So my mom comes and picks me up. I won't lie, I felt like I had outsmarted the schooling system this day. That win really stroked my ego. I went home and I just played Fortnite all day, and it was a massive W because I don't take no L's ever. I imagine my friends that day were pretty confused because I had just disappeared. You know, they eventually found out. All right, that's a story. Bye-bye. Are you ever sitting in class thinking to yourself, damn, I'd rather do anything? Half the time, it's not even the class itself that's uninteresting. The teacher's just an old fart person. When he opens his mouth, cobwebs and flies come out. One Tapatio sauce drop and you'll have a new teacher and a criminal charge. I've had these teachers, and that's why I smoke gay-ass weed in their classes. Why did I write that in the script? So last semester, this class was Philosophy 101. I'm not gonna lie, I had a bussin' grade in this class, but I really didn't care about it. It was a waste of time, to be honest. This guy would just talk about some dead dude's idea for an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, I can think of most of these things on my own as an intellectual. Now, there was one day I was not having it. I snapped. I went bananas. I could not sit through another lecture talking about Socrates and his bullshit. I couldn't miss though because I needed a good grade. So I did what had to be done. I pulled out some of that good stuff. You know what I mean? That magic. In all honesty, I did way more than I should have. Every time I thought about how awful this class was going to be, I felt I wasn't high enough. So I get to the point where I'm baked like a fresh tray of cookies coming out of the oven. It was about a 5-minute walk to class from my dorm, so I started heading over, and as I'm walking, I'm realizing how high I really am. I keep staring at the floor and thinking, I'm grateful this floor is here to support me right now. Once I get in class, I sit in the back. It's a pretty big lecture hall, so I knew I could blend in easily. So once I sit down, the lecture starts and the professor pulls up his presentation. I am immersed in the way the slides look. I don't know why, but I just feel excited. I feel like this was going to be the time of my life. The professor starts talking about Descartes and says he was known for the whole phrase, I think, therefore I am. Now, the professor kept on talking, but I just kept on this phrase in my mind. I start feeling my own thoughts and asking myself, am I my thoughts or am I my body? I start asking if my thoughts are even my own or if they're someone else's. This idea feels brilliant to me. I feel like I need to express it. I raise my hand in the middle of the lecture. The professor looks directly at me and calls on me. And I think to myself, fuck, what did I just do? But there's nothing left to do but carry out my plan. So I ask, how do we know if our thoughts are really us? Then the professor just stares at me in silence for what feels like 30 seconds. I feel like it's the most obvious thing in the world that I am high right now, and this teacher is looking right at me. I feel like it's already too late. He already knows. Then someone saves me. Someone else raises their hand and the professor's attention was diverted. This guy is a hero. He's my hero. He starts taking my idea seriously and trying to debate the professor on it. Before I know it, the whole class is getting involved in this discussion, and I'm just so high I barely understand what I've started. Eventually, the hour's over and the lecture ends. But as it ends, the professor asks me to talk to him after class. Now I really know it's over for me. I walk down to the front while everyone else is leaving. I feel like a warrior marching to his grave. When I get to the front, the professor asks me, will you remind me of your name? Now, I'm not gonna go down without a fight. If he doesn't even know my name, he can't report me. So I use the alias of the guy who was sitting next to me to take this fall. My name is Kyle. Well, Kyle, I would like to talk to you about your question today in class. Thank you for being so engaging and starting a stimulating discussion. So I'm gonna give you 3 extra credit points in this class. I just thanked him and headed out after giving this stranger my rightfully deserved extra credit points. After that, I actually just kept going to class high because anything I thought of or said while high would make people think I was really wise and intelligent, apparently. I think it really just goes to show how philosophy classes really are. Alright, bye! Many moons ago, when I was merely a supple young weed smoker, I was ignorant of the powers Thanksgiving Day holds. When the abundant load of yummy food comes face to face with a growing boy cracked off 2 guaps and a blinker, things get ugly. The gravy, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, good big Lord above. Do not get me started on them cobblers. Dear gods, I will bust. But along with the excellence of Thanksgiving feasts, the price you pay is the difficulty of communication. With likely most of your family around, the danger levels are high. One slip up and you'll get the belt in front of everyone and have to sleep outside in the doghouse while it rains. Luckily, during my first rodeo, I developed strategies and tactics and moves to avoid my high being detected. So here's the story of that. It was the big day and all my family were just about prepared to eat the yummy foods. As a pubescent gamer boy, high schooler, dork, loser with nothing going for me, I wasn't downstairs with them. I was locked in my bedroom, grinding Destiny with the only distant family member that we all know. It was the cousin, the top G of Thanksgiving. He hits me with the classic, "Hey, let's go for a little walk before we eat." But my arrogant ass didn't know this code at the time, so I'm like, "No, I want to keep playing Destiny." So he shows me he's got that stizzy on him. Big cuz came to my crib with the strap, and I go primal. Ooh, gimme. Bro, I need the weed so bad. I haven't smoked in 3 millennia. All right, let's go on that walk then. We go downstairs, walk past my entire family, and I'm thinking, oh, they have no clue what I'm gonna do. All right, guys, we're gonna go on a quick walk. Yeah, a real quick one. We head down a few blocks, and cuz starts chafing the stizzy blinker after blinker like he weddy on the check. Like he's got 50 perks on the line and he's down a guap. No remorse for his soul and humanity. Bro smoked himself hollow like I've never seen before. After a display like that, I felt the need to do at least something that holds a candle to it. So I hit the stiz on God mode and I get sent out of my body. All that training had paid off because I sucked the souls out of this pen like a Division 1 football player. We have to get home since dinner was soon, but as we head back, I can't walk straight or keep my mouth shut. I'm laughing at literal nothing, staring down at asphalt and laughing. My cousin tries to bring me back into sanity by looking me in the eyes and saying, "You gotta get a grip, man. You can't be like this in front of everyone. It'll be way too obvious." "Nah, you got it all wrong. I got this. Trust me. When we get in there, I won't slip up." As we walk through the front door, I get hit with the real-life mental version of the Vine boom sound effect. I was too high to think through the danger I had walked myself into, and I knew I could hardly speak. With no choice, I sit down at the dinner table and thought to myself, all right, I need to create a plan for when I'm asked a question. I can't take too long to respond or it's sus, but because the weed, I can't think fast enough to actually respond normally. So I need to use filler sounds and words to make up for my brain lag. I need to prove I'm sober by speaking well-articulated sentences no high person is expected to think. And to make sure they don't follow up, I'll start eating before they have a chance to. The food rolls out and we all start eating, and the antagonist of Thanksgiving shows himself, the uncle. He asks me, "So how's school?" And I initiate the plan. First, I start with the filler so I can think. Then I threw out my high IQ response. "You know, school is lovely. I love school and learning. I've actually done all of my classes." With no hesitation, I start stuffing my face like I've never done before. I'm not even eating. I am inhaling the food. "I need to use the bathroom." I hardly walk to the toilet and sit on it for like 10 minutes so this all blows over. As I come out, my cousin and I make eye contact. I could tell this was just as bad for him as it was for me. I'm just thinking about the Irwin speech from Attack on Titan to give me strength to get through this dinner. The food was positively bussin' though. The joys of eating all this food easily made up for the few times I was spoken to. The two of us eat a metric Drake ton of food this dinner, and I feel on the urge of death. Once it was all over, I ran back up to my bedroom to grind Destiny more. I felt like Luffy after a party, bro. It was on another level. Anyways, smoke weed on Thanksgiving. That's the story. Subscribe. Bye. The Pendulum to a stoner is the equivalent to a peasant's potato farm, meaning it's quite literally the bread and butter of our lives. Because of that, most people end up smoking them for their first time. But for me, this was my second time. I was posted up inside Big Bro Roderick's incredible house one winter evening. We both felt awesome with very impressive looks on our faces. There were supposedly big plans this evening because Roderick was like, I know these 4 people having the biggest, most awesome party tonight, which sounded grand, but there was one problem. Do I know these people though? No. Do they know me? Yes. And that was enough for me to be a little bit hesitant. I don't know, man. They could bully me. Don't sweat it, chap. One little dinghy off this port bow and you'll feel on top of the world. Holy crap, what's that? What is that? It's weed. Boom! This was a top 10 bomba-clot moments of my entire life. As I mentioned, I had only ever smoked one time before this, and the parasites in my brain were starting to speak to me. The same parasitic voices that tell me to peek corners in Valorant, gamble more money, and generally overextend on things I shouldn't were firing. Alright, Roderick, we've done this once before. I don't see the harm in going for a second. Oh god, it hurts so badly. You can't go crazy like that, bro. You gotta take your time. Oh, alright, I'll do it gently. Are you good, bro? Yeah. Alright, my boy, let's head out and drive to this shindig. As we start to drive, all this time in the car allows me to grasp the gravity of the situation I'm in. The world started to change around me in ways I didn't understand, and I felt an awe-inspiring feeling in my fingertips. I could not act right, and I started to go crazy until immediately locking in, because I was about to enter a home I didn't know with 4 people I also don't know. Hey, bro, if they see me like this, what do you think they'll think of me? Oh, I think you're gonna be all good, bro. Oh my god! I had a bad case of the poo-poo eyes from those Benjamin Tokes. You look awesome, dude. You'll be okay. Just put on these cool shades and they'll be very impressed with your style. Whoa, I feel like I'm #1, dude. So as we pull up to the house, there's only one single objective on my mind. I need to convince each of these people that I'm sober. Because if they see me high, they're gonna think I'm an addicted bum. We walk in through the front door and there's already a major fork in my plans. Roderick had actually brought me to the hose. I don't even know how to act around the hose when I'm sober, and those pen hits gave me slurp juice brain. Luckily, there was only this one girl named Sarah as we walked in, but I kid you not, she looked exactly like the Fortnite Sunstrider skin. God threw a level 10 baddie my way, and I started getting anxiety, but I couldn't forget the objective at hand. I can't let Sunstrider find out that I'm high. Yo, what's up, Sarah? This is Ninye. Oh my god, Roderick has told me so much about you. Alright, I can't mess up my first introduction. Yo, haha, that's awesome. Okay, that wasn't bad. Alright, I'm gonna go say hi to everyone else. Bye, guys. God damn it, now I'm all alone with her. So why are you wearing those shades in the middle of the night? Off rip, she's going for my weak spot. I gotta change the subject. Are you very impressed with my style? Fuck. Yeah, you look really cool. This is too stressful. I need to go somewhere to blow off a little steam. Alright, where's the bathroom? So we go upstairs and she shows me to the little man's room and I start doing push-ups on the ground like, ugh, fuck yeah, ugh. I'm trying to get a little pump in an attempt to get my head back in the game. But while grunting and moaning on the floor, I can see Sunstrider's feet from under the little crack of the door on the floor. So hopefully she didn't get the wrong idea from my sounds. But I waste no time to text Roderick, I'm afraid of the hose, bro. In which he replies, don't worry, I'll clutch up for you. So as I leave the bathroom, Roderick comes upstairs with a deck of Uno cards and a bottle of vodka and starts telling us rules like, you two gotta drink every time you draw a card. Sarah, you go first. Bro is taking some big dog initiative in this situation. And then Roderick essentially just falls back down the stairs. Now I'm pretty much locked into playing Uno with this one girl at this point. But I start dicing her up with these draw 4s like I'm a professional at this. And in no time, Sunstrider starts getting all bomba-clot from the drink. She starts getting into all this girl talk like, I fucking hate my friend Melissa. She fucked my ex-boyfriend last week. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. While I keep pulling out these draw 4s like nobody's business. Somehow before I knew it, Sunstrider had inched her way to sitting right next to me. She starts taking whole swigs from the bottle and looks at me like, you haven't drank anything yet. You can't be the only sober one. Let's fucking go! This whole time I had successfully masked the fact that I was high, and her saying that just confirmed it. So I take a celebratory swig, but then she starts doing some weird shiz, like putting her hand on my thigh like, fuck Melissa anyway. But it turns out she drank
screamed more than she could handle because she couldn't control the volume of her voice, and she said that really loudly. Before we know it, this girl runs upstairs like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Turns out Melissa was at the party and heard everything. The two other girls come running up from behind Melissa, and a whole fight starts breaking out before I could process what was about to happen to me. Even this girl's little brother walks out of some bedroom. I didn't even know he was in the house, but he starts to get involved in this. I'm just sitting on the floor watching it all unfold until Roderick slowly walks up the stairs behind them and beckons me to come over to him. He's like, "Yo, I don't know what's going on, but we should probably leave." I'm down, bro. This place is getting a little too heated for me. So we sneak out the front door and drive away. I start telling Roderick about what happened with me completely washing this girl in Uno with no remorse for her soul. And he drops the biggest plot twist of the night. It turns out he had rigged the cards and made every other card draw in my favor so that the girl would drink more and make the situation less awkward with me. So if there's any takeaway from this story, take your time with the Benjamin because it hits very hard. Before you know it, you'll get anxiety from the hose. Greening out is allegedly worse than cutting off limbs. However, despite being the massive Zahead that I am, I've never actually experienced that climax. I've had friends go through it before my very eyes and seen the absolute destruction that befalls their now forever ruined bodies. But me, I've never had it happen to me until today, when my constant push for entertaining content ended up pushing me over the edge and greening out for the first time. The night started off normal enough. I was watching Diva twerk compilations, Ice Spice full view oiled up bust down 4K while off a few gummies as I do every night, when I had a thought come to me. I haven't left my bed in like a week. I need to get into some video material mischief right now or else I'm gonna felled off. So I took another 2 gummies and shot a text over to none other than the absolute legend Roderick himself. "Bro, I need you to come over to my house this instant, please, please, please." "All right, bro, I got you. I'll be there in a minute." Roderick pulled up instantly with his massive stature and Greek godlike appearance and was clutching none other than his epic weed in one hand and a bag of some yummies in the other. Shutting the door behind ourselves, I gave Roderick massive greetings into my humble abode, and seeing what he had brought, I knew exactly what was about to go down. So we sat on the couch and began to do our thing. We both ended up taking about 1,000,000 hits each before finally giving it a bit of a break. And let me tell you, at this point, I was already feeling higher than something that's really tall. Now scrolling YouTube, I saw a gym motivational video pop up in my recommended. I don't usually watch these types of things, but having been reading Vagabond and practicing the way of the samurai, I was feeling strong and in need of constant self-improvement. And being as high as I was, this seemed like exactly the thing that would push me beyond my human limits. We watched the whole thing in silence, but the raw emotion was louder than anything I've ever felt. The only noise we made was at the end, where we both let out mighty roars, ready to take on any foe. "Bro, I need conflict!" "Hey, let's bust out the push-ups, why don't we, my brother? Come on, let's just get on the floor." As soon as we stood up, I found it really hard not to stumble around and realized there was no actual way for me to do anything. Neither of us were really able to move, and even if we did, we'd probably hurt ourselves. "Okay, bro, I can't actually do this. Let's just watch people work out on the TV instead." "Alright, dude, but the punishment for not working out right now is that we have to smoke more weed," which I gladly accepted. And in this very moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. Bro. Oh, yeah? I have to smoke endless weed and green out for views. It's what the people want. I have to persevere for those massive YouTube numbers. Us both finding this idea very funny, Roderick and I did a few more rotations of that smoky to really send ourselves flying. Finishing up this round, we decided it would probably be best if we got one other person in here to help me keep on my mission. So we decided to hit up our boy Cameron to come over and make sure we were able to keep focused. He eventually came over, and when we opened the door for him, we were nothing more than shells of our former selves. We had smoked ourselves into mere husks,
of who we used to be. But I was still talking coherent enough that Cameron knew his job wasn't complete. Hey, how's it going, lads? Not good. I don't think I can handle this anymore. I might have gone over my head for this one, dude. That's all right, bro. That's why I'm here. Think of the views, dude. Let the views motivate you. Just seeing Cameron's shining smile motivated me to go a little further. I took a few more hits, but not nearly enough to green out. But I was high enough to be brain dead. After a few minutes had passed, I heard another knock at my door. My first thought I had to myself was, oh, Cameron must have gotten here, forgetting he had arrived minutes ago. When I opened the door, it was actually some missionaries that had came from the church, inviting me to a local event they were hosting. I start to panic here. I couldn't even remember that Cameron had entered my house, so I knew I couldn't communicate with the missionaries. Oh, you guys, hey, come here, come over here. My words were bullshit, but sounded convincing enough to be real. I got Cameron to the door and ran away to hide. Oh yeah, Cameron already got here. He took care of those guys for me real good. The missionary encounter had shaken me up a bit and faltered my motivation visibly. I'm struggling here, my boy. You're gonna need to do something real moving to get me any further, Cameron. Then he did something I never expected him to do in my life. In an act of true selflessness and purity, he ate his first ever edible for my sake. Now that I'm gonna be high for the first time, boys, you gotta do this. Having witnessed such a manly and awesome moment, I now knew what had to be done. I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. Not even the dizziness that was absolutely beginning to obliterate me, just like I do to Ice Spice, could stop me. I took another gummy and took one last giant rip of the bong. And just like that, it was all over. My moment had finally come. After a few minutes, I began feeling the full effects. I was getting incredibly dizzy and nauseous. Standing became a near impossible task, and just the sound of Roderick and Cameron talking felt overstimulating and overly loud to the point I couldn't handle it. Honestly, this part gets kind of a little fuzzy in my mind, but I eventually managed to get carried upstairs to my bed, now unable to even get words out of my mouth. And in this instant, I immediately knew that I was just like Drake because I was out like a light. Anyways, being high and alone is something I like, but you know it isn't? Addiction. And if you're watching this video, there's a 99% probability that we share the same addiction, and that's short form content. I go on these jaunts just about every non-consciously waking moment of my life. So this particular night of me being high and alone served to free me of this terrible addiction, because every time I opened short form content throughout the night, I made myself eat an extra edible in an act of hopefully stopping my addiction. But it only kinda worked. Here's what happened. Right off rip, after eating this gummy, I cleaned my entire house. I was an unstoppable force of cleanliness off these gummies. But afterward, I quickly went back to my addiction. Not YouTube Shorts, I mean gambling.
This is gonna be huge. I'm gonna open a freaking case, dude. Holy crap. Oh, alright.
But I felt that if I was to truly free myself of addiction, I probably shouldn't make exceptions. So I ate another gummy after this as well. Then I instantly opened Snapchat and went onto the shorts because I'm not very smart, which meant another one down the hatch. I had already eaten 3 gummies, so I knew I needed a foolproof strategy that would ensure I wouldn't watch any more shorts. I decided to attack the problem at its roots, which is my attention span. I needed a way to fully reset my mind, and my idea to do so was a kind of strange approach in hindsight. The plan was to sit down in an empty room and just exist with myself and my drywall. I sat there and stared at drywall with as much mental focus as I could possibly exert for as long as I could. I would start to feel my focus wavering periodically. The only thing this ended up actually accomplishing, though, was giving myself a headache, which is ironically exactly what YouTube Shorts do as well. Alright, so the drywall strat, it's not working. Maybe I just watch full-length YouTube videos instead. Maybe that will fix me. This was a worse idea than the drywall. The YouTube app did that thing where it opens into shorts, so I start watching a handful of these before realizing what I've done. I ate another edible, but to be honest, YouTube Shorts had admittedly fed me some interesting slop this time around. I was watching a big, strong, shirtless, hot man climb a boulder, which got me in a real mood to watch more men climbing rocks. I was relentless with the men rock climbing videos. I watched Olympic climbing. I watched little men climbing. I watched big men climbing. All this climbing made me want to climb myself. So I bought a membership at a climbing gym. I haven't used it yet, but eventually whenever I do, I bet it'll be pretty cool. In an attempt to feel the triumphant victory of climbing rocks, I ended up climbing onto my bed from the floor, which isn't as impressive, but I thought it was pretty cool. Then out of left field, YouTube recommendation threw a real curveball at me. Teen Titans Go Movie Magic. This video hit the spot like nothing before. This show is just so goated. I was watching it so involved and entranced by the funniness and bright colors. Although I was really lost in the plot here. I didn't realize this while I was high, but this is actually like 5 videos strung together into one. Somehow I still managed to follow some kind of plot despite there not being one, which is something quite impressive. But this whole time, I couldn't stop thinking about how funny Robin was. This dude has to be the best written character of the millennium. I really came to realize the delicate intricacies of his character here. The only downside of this show is that it's bright and fast and really cool. Just like everything else, it was bad for my attention span. I needed to find some other method to fix myself. I search on Google how to slow attention span and find this article. After reading it, at the end, they recommend behavior therapy, which I don't need. So the article was shit and it didn't help me at all. Considering that the other things in this article were chewing gum and drinking water, I came to realize after reading this that I'm actually doing everything perfectly and optimally for fixing my attention span, if that's really all it takes. I guess I'm just left to live in torment and evil constantly. Afterward, I went down a massive YouTube rabbit hole, so I'll just give you some of the good ones before I went bye-bye sleep time for the night. And trust me, the last one will change something in you. So I watched how to turn a Lego man into meth. Then I watched pirate videos about how to be pirates. Those ones were pretty sweet. I learned how to become the Pope. I watched this video and legitimately did not listen to one word for the entire 30 minutes. I watched for an hour about the Napoleonic Wars. I've never given a squat about history at all in my life, so I don't know why I watched this, but it was interesting. I found out how to board an airplane. Then I watched a ton of these kid gaming videos and they went so hard. But the biggest video I watched was this one. This video is something special. Anyways, subscribe. I haven't gotten high in school very often, and anyone who has gotten high in school would know why. It always sounds like a good idea at first, but in practice, it can be so goddamn scary. Now, this story isn't just about me getting high, but instead the whole squad was smoking in class. And under those circumstances in mind, you know shit had to have gone down, and it did. So it was the first day back to school from summer break, and it was the morning of that day before the classes had started. As the nature of the first day of school goes, I was pissed off, and so was my boy Roderick, the same guy from the mushroom story. We were pissed we had to be back in this place, but it also was sick to see everyone I didn't see over the summer. So we were greeting everyone in the grade, catching up in the hallways, when none other than the man himself, Kevin, comes through the doors, beelines straight to the two of us and whispers in our ears, "Bro, meet me in the handicapped stall real quick. I got something to tell you." Which, may I add, is an insane way to greet someone on the first day back from summer break, but we followed him into the bathroom to see what was up. As we walked in, Kevin is standing on the toilet like he is about to give a speech to us and says, "Guys, none of the three of us want to be here. Wouldn't you guys agree?" And we nodded our heads in agreement. "Then why don't we go somewhere else?" And this guy pulls out not just one, but 3 different wax pens, and our mouths are agape. Keep in mind, I rarely smoked at this time, so to see not just one, but 3 wax pens that this dude had brought into the school was the craziest thing I had ever witnessed. I was like, no way we're smoking right here and right now. And Kevin said, not yet. See, I've been dreading the first day of school for a long time now, so I've thought up a way to make it a little more interesting. I want to play a game. We each carry a pen on us for the entirety of the day. Every time somebody says some dumb shit, you have to take a hit. And if you don't get caught all day, you get to keep the pen. But if you get caught, you owe me $50. In one moment, I was going about my ordinary day in school, and in the next, I'm choosing which pill I'm gonna take, and you know I took the green pill, and so did Roderick. I won't lie, the speech had us getting hyped in this bathroom stall. If anyone was in the bathroom at the time, I feel like they probably would have gotten the wrong idea. But anyways, we had to plan our day. We all brought out our schedules to see which classes we shared. I shared Spanish with Roderick, math I was with both, English I was alone for, in study hall I had the two of them again. But the bell rang and me and Roderick headed over to Spanish and departed from Kevin. As we walked into the classroom, we agreed we wouldn't sit next to each other, so if one person came down, the other wouldn't come down with them. And it would be easier to stay undercover, so we both sat in the back corners of the class. The class started and the teachers were going over the syllabus when this kid raised his hand and asked, "When we get our assignments, do you want our names in English or Spanish?" Me and Roderick just stared at each other from across the class after that. We knew what we had to do. As soon as the teacher turned around to the whiteboard, we took a hit, but then she turned around and we just had to hold in the smoke until she turned around again. And once I did, I started coughing loud. I couldn't hold it in that long. So I crossed my arms and put my head down, and no one thought anything of it, but it was close. The class went on and we got out of that one safe, although those wax pens, if you've ever smoked them before, hit hard. So even though I only took one hit, I was already feeling it as we walked to math. We got to the class first, and as Kevin walked in, he looked so fucked up. I was like, "Bro, what happened to you?" And all he replied with was, "It was Liam, bro." And then just took a seat before I could respond. Lord have mercy on his soul. Let me tell you, math was a dreadful class to get through. Not because of the challenge. We didn't even have to smoke once during this period. It was just the munchies, bro. Lunch was the next period, and I was fiending for that school lunch. The most entertaining thing that happened to that class was that I sat across from Kevin, staring him straight on, and he just kept nodding out of existence and coming back. This guy was on another planet, and it was only 10 in the morning. Once lunch came, I spent like $20 on snacks, but they were all out of the vending machine, which was a process I did not have the patience for. Waiting for the food to come down just felt like an eternity. The squad linked up, and I tried to get more information on what happened to Kevin during first period. Can you elaborate on what happened to you earlier, bro? Liam, bro, he had to introduce himself, and he said he likes kids. He didn't realize how bad that sounded, bro. But he really said it. And to be honest, me and Roderick, we just decided to take a hit right there after hearing that out of respect for what he had gone through. Once the bell rang, I started stressing because my next class was alone. I lost my supports and I had to face English class like a real stoic man. I sat down. I don't remember exactly what the question was, but I do know that some kid said something that I had to smoke to. So I had to take a hit. Then the guy next to me leans over and looks into my eyes and just nods. I was sitting next to the school stoner Bradley. Bradley saw this and asked, "Yo, can I get one, bro?" So respectfully, I handed him the pen and with no remorse for his own life proceeded to blow it straight into the air, and of course the teacher noticed and walked over. I thought it was all over for me in this moment, but he just ended up sending Bradley to the office. But the thing is that he still had my pen on him when he left. This guy, 200 IQ, outplayed me and purposefully got sent to the office so he could take the pen for himself. I don't know if that was actually his plan, but that's just what it seemed like to me. Once English ended, I walked into study hall, and this part was the hardest part of the challenge to overcome. If you've had study hall before, you know how silent the class is. So I'm trying to tell these two how I got my pen stolen, but I'm so high I cannot control how loud I'm being, and I just can't communicate what happens. I guess they both deemed that to be smokable, so they both took a hit, and as they exhaled, I couldn't help but just laugh at myself, and I laughed loudly, which alerted the teacher and got Roderick and Kevin caught. But since I got my pen stolen, I got away from it. I didn't have anything on me. They got sent to the front office, and I had to wait out the next hour of this class in an excruciating silence, just paranoid that somebody was gonna come after me. But at the end of the day, nothing happened of it, so I technically won the challenge and got to keep the pen. But since it got stolen, I really just got nothing. But I'm glad I won though, because if I had lost, I would have had to fork over $50 and a new pen. So I dodged a bullet there. So while I didn't get anything, at least I didn't lose.